This next lady plays rugby at her local Hudson High School and is creative.
Yes. Aiyanah Peeples is coming up here soon to talk to us about hobbies and why they are beneficial to people in society.
She wishes she had an after-school job because she is broke.
Okay, hello. Hobbies, interests, sports, etc. As a student, you see this question on all kinds of applications, and as an adult, people ask you about these all the time without ever actually listening to your response. The commodity of hobbies, interests, sports, etc. can make them seem trivial or meaningless, and society has come to undersell how effective they can be. This leads to a problem in people's lives because they don't strive to reach that perfect hobby, interest, sport, etc., leaving them less happy and fulfilled in life. As Oprah Winfrey once said, passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. Everyone should have a hobby, interest, sport, etc. of some sort. It can completely change your life. For me, that was rugby. I started playing a little over a year ago, and it has fundamentally changed who I am. Today, I'll be going over the aspects of rugby that reflect any great hobby, interest, sport, etc. Honesty, fairness, building goodwill, and the drive to be better. So the first aspect, honesty. To me, rugby is by far one of the realest sports that one can play. You are out there, no matter the weather, only in cleats, socks, shorts, a jersey, and a mouthguard, and for either 14 or 80 minutes, depending on what kind of game you're playing, you're out there throwing, catching, sprinting, and most intensely, tackling and getting tackled. It's grueling. It's kind of terrifying. It strips you down to who you are and how much you can endure. But more than that, rugby forces you to be true to yourself. Personally, I've always been a little insecure about my weight. I've never liked the fact that I'm a bigger girl. But when playing a game where size is crucial, you have to learn to accept your size. More than that, you have to learn to use it to your advantage. And now I can. Rugby is an incredible sport for bigger girls. You're good for running through people and taking people down. In most aspects of society, my size is a problem, but in rugby, it's a strength. And that's the first thing that a good hobby, interest, sport, etc. should do for you. It should force you to face yourself for who you are and then allow you to embrace it. This increase in confidence will leave you more happy and fulfilled in life. And now the second aspect, fairness. When playing a game where you're constantly at risk of serious injury, good sportsmanship is more than just a formality. Bad sportsmanship leads to concussions and worse. The referee is constantly monitoring and making sure that everyone is playing fair because otherwise somebody could be hospitalized or worse. But each player on the field also knows this, and we all take specific precautions to keep each other from getting hurt. We cut our nails to avoid scratching people. We don't wear metal cleats because, ouch. We tie back our hair and all kinds of other little things because we would want somebody to do it for us. But even then, besides what's happening on the field, a good rugby team has players of all body types because each body type has a use. Bigger girls, as I said before, power runners, pushing through those defensive lines, taking people down. But smaller girls are speed runners that find those holes in defense and exploit them to score. If you look at pretty much any professional rugby team, you'll find this diversity in body types. For example, the South African women's 15s teams, the Springboks, have players ranging from 130 pounds to 200 pounds. The New Zealand team, the Black Ferns women's 15s teams, have players ranging from 130 pounds to 275 pounds. When my team comes together, we form a cohesive and winning machine. The other team doesn't stand a chance. And that's the second thing that a good hobby, interest, sport, etc. should do for you. There should be a place for everyone, and everyone can do well in it. These increased chances of success will lead to more happiness and fulfillment in life. And now, the third aspect, building goodwill. So, game's over, you're off the field, but there's still the bus ride home. You get to talk, listen to music, and most importantly, eat. And oh boy, can a bus full of teenage girls who just burn some calories eat. Within my first month of playing rugby, I was closer to some of the girls on that team than with girls that I had been on teams with for years. Just by the nature of the way you play rugby, You're kind of forced to be up close and personal with basically everyone, so all that new person awkwardness is just forced to dissipate. This creates a group of some of the most kind and inclusive people that you could meet. And the coaches are the same way. I have been on many sports teams throughout my life, and if there is one thing that I have learned, it is that the coaches are the glue that holds everyone together. A good coach will push their team to reach that max potential, and a bad coach will keep a team from ever doing so. My rugby coaches are some of, if not the best coaches I've ever had. They're patient, but not lenient. They're thrilled when you improve, but even then, they're looking for ways for you to improve even more. And our coaches have pushed our team to reach that max potential because you don't win a state championship any other way. But aside from that, because the pool of rugby players is so small, that if you play for a team outside of the one that your school offers, you'll end up playing with people that you typically play against. This means that on the field at any given time, you're pretty familiar with almost everyone there. For example, I played on a summer 15s teams over the summer, and whenever we see each other during the regular fall and spring season, we always make sure to catch up and say hello. I've met people from all over Ohio this way. But even more than that, rugby builds a lot of goodwill within yourself. Rugby is not a sport that you can half play. When you go out on that field, you must give it your all. Because if you walk away from a rugby field without bruises, you just weren't playing it right. So, when you walk off that field, fresh off a victory, you feel vibrantly alive. I've never felt such vivacity within myself than after winning a rugby game. Because, yeah, your lungs burning, bruises everywhere. But those feel like a prize. You earn those. Tackles, stiff arms, and teamwork led to those, and those led to victory. And yeah, I'll admit it, I've lost before, sure. But even then, just that feeling of knowing that you went out there and you gave it everything you could, to me, is the best feeling in the world. According to a Canadian study, they found that out of 850 surveyed students, those that participated in team sports had overall better mental health. Co-author Catherine Saveston says that team sports offer a heightened emphasis on group goals, social support, and a sense of connection that provide more opportunity for learning adaptive coping strategies that can be essential for long-term mental health. But that's not just unique to sports. According to another study called The Benefits of Recreation for the Recovery and Social Inclusion of Individuals with Mental Illness, an integrative review, found that of the 35 research papers that they gathered on the same topic, engaging in communal recreational activities leads to better mental health. And that's the third thing that a good hobby, interest, sport, etc. should do for you. You should meet all kinds of wonderful people, and doing well in it should make you feel the best you've ever felt. And now the final aspect, and I would argue that it's the most important one. Rugby has made me want to be better, both at rugby and as a person. Every time I go to practice, I'm excited to learn something new, even if it leaves me completely confused. Like, what is that? I don't know. But the reason why I'm excited is because that I know that whatever I learn that day is going to help me improve. But even outside of practice, I've started doing things to help me improve. Things I never would have done if it wasn't for rugby. For example, I've always completely, entirely despised running. Every time I'd go on a run, all I'd be able to think about is how much I just want to stop. But when during my first rugby game, I had to sprint 80 yards, then got tackled, and then I had to get up and sprint another 80 yards, in the blazing sun no less, I realized that my lungs weren't quite going to make it with that attitude. So now I go on runs. I still completely, entirely despise it, but I push through anyway because I know it's going to help me improve. And now I can get through about 3 miles before my lungs decide that it's game over. And that might not sound like a lot to some of you, but I never thought that I could run 1 mile, let alone 3. And now I try to pour that kind of determination into everything that I do. I am capable of doing whatever it is that I want to do if I just push hard to reach that try zone, even if it's dozens of yards away. According to a study called Everyday Creative Activity as a Path to Flourishing, they found that out of 700 young adults that they surveyed, there was a positive correlation between time spent doing recreational activities, such as a hobby, and positive mental health. And for some hobbies, they even found that that feeling of goodness and satisfaction carried over to the next day. And that's the final thing that a good hobby, interest, sport, etc. should do for you. You should want to be better. You should want to reach those new heights and do things that you never thought you could or would do. This will lead to more happiness and fulfillment in life. Hobbies, interests, sports, etc. As a student, you see this question on all kinds of applications, and as an adult, people ask you about these all the time without ever actually listening to your response. But hobbies, interests, sports, etc. can completely change your life. Rugby has changed me, and the only problem that I have with the sport is that I didn't start playing it sooner. I wish I could have been this person earlier, the kind of person that I've always wanted to be. Hobbies, interests, sports, etc. can transform you. This is the most happy and fulfilled I've ever been. Rugby is just one of many hobbies, interests, sports, etc. And the right one is waiting for you. Thank you.